Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. You know, last January I had the chance to go up to Las Vegas, Nevada for the media event to test drive the all-new 2015 Volvo XC60 T6 Drive E. Drive E, well, that's the all-new powertrains that Volvo's rolling out for 2015, which are four-cylinder engines either with a turbocharger or, in the case of our T6 here, a supercharger and a turbocharger. Now, on that event, I was only able to do some brief driving impressions because it was only one day. But now, we've got this thing for an entire week, which is going to enable us to find out what it's really like to live with.
The XC60 itself isn't all new, as the styling of the 2015 model has been with us for a couple years. It remains chiseled and beveled in all the right places, however, and with our sport package 20-inch aluminum wheels, really pops. Up front are standard vertical LED running lights, and optioned on ours was the active dual xenon headlamps, which turn with you at night. The rear 3/4 angle view remains unique in its class with tall, artful wraparound tail lamps. Exterior fit and finish was exemplary and well executed. The silhouette seems to remain contemporary even in today's market, despite the fact it's been around for a while. The cabin is where the Scandinavian design ethos really comes home. The highlight is a sweeping center console that flows down between the seats so very cleanly. It has a floating design with pass-through behind, now a Volvo trademark. Materials are of a high quality throughout, with a healthy dose of aluminum used in the steering wheel, console, dash, and door panels. They've accomplished a sophisticated look and feel with the metal that few other brands have been able to. The steering wheel tilts and telescopes, but is manual in adjustment, not power. It does have paddle shifters, which are aluminum as well, giving you a nice solid feel when shifting the 8-speed Geartronic transmission. Our XC60 Sport package included some of the best chairs in the business, with big thick side bolsters to hold you in place. While sporting in nature, they remain soft and comfortable for long drives, never once becoming a pain. Switchgear and controls throughout are top quality and unique in their design. The infotainment system and center stack, while wondrous to look at, does take a bit of a learning curve to master. Its small buttons and non-traditional layout will be foreign to the non-Volvo initiated. The audio screen and menu interface has a number of quirks to get past regardless. The screen is rather smallish, its radio screen confoundingly small in font sizes and how it actually lists them. It's not a touchscreen either, requiring using knobs and buttons on the center stack to operate. The XC60 does come with a full panoramic roof with power sunshade and opening front panels standard, which gives the interior a nice open airy atmosphere. This, combined with the two-tone leather seating trims, really made for a comfortable place to spend time. Rear seat passengers will find the seating position high enough for leg comfort and outward visibility, though the compartment is a bit thin on ventilation. The rear cargo area is generous enough for this class too, with ours getting an optional sunshade and cargo net. Under the hood is the starring attraction, a 302 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder engine employing both a belt-driven supercharger and a turbocharger to get its boost. The supercharger comes on at low revs, the turbo coming in later in the game. The engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission Volvo calls Geartronic, giving the XC60 a 22 mpg city, 30 mpg highway, and 25 mpg combined cycle rating for fuel economy.
Alright, so I'm just out driving around here, in and out of suburbia and a few parking lots, and out on the road, stoplight to stoplight, and I'm really just sort of getting a feel for this engine. And I'm getting a lot of interesting impressions. First one is, I really do like it quite a bit. I'll just say that right out flat. It's got a nice power curve from low to high RPM, and that's really because of the fact that it does have both a supercharger and a turbocharger. The supercharger does a great job of giving you boost when you take off from a stop, and the turbocharger really does a great job of kicking in later in the rev range when the supercharger typically falls off. There are a couple things. One of them is torque steer. Okay, I am not doing that. What you just saw right there was 300 horsepower, taking the steering wheel and wanting to take this vehicle in directions that I did not intend. This thing has mad torque steer, and that really is because of the fact that it's got 300 horsepower driving only the front wheels, and then you add to the fact that this is a top-heavy crossover SUV, you just got a recipe for torque steer. And if you don't know what that is, basically what it means is when you put power to the front wheels, it just really wants to grab that steering wheel right out of your hands and sort of fishtail in a way. And so the only thing that's really a disappointment is that, you know, this is a vehicle that costs $50,000. There are technologies out there that can mitigate torque steer, and it doesn't seem to me that they've employed any of them.
Despite the power delivery issues with the chassis, the XC60 rides and drives impressively sharp and solid the rest of the time. The body structure is tight as a drum, combined with excellent suspension isolation to exude a total feeling of quality in the ride. Steering response and feel are on the higher end of good, braking also more than adequate for a vehicle of this size. On the highway, the ride is quiet and free of the kind of road noise you might expect with tires and wheels this large.
Now, because this is a Volvo and it has a lot of safety features and a lot of other electronic devices to help your life behind the wheel, this does have a pretty nicely well done lane keeping assistant. If I change lanes here, you get that little chime there. It's because I didn't use the turn signal. I'll do it again. It's letting me know I'm drifting out of my lane, and it's just a nice chime. It's not overly done. It doesn't give you a heart attack. It doesn't scare you to death, but it does let you know that you've done changed lanes without doing it in a way that really makes you angry at your car. Now, if you use a turn signal and you do that lane change, you're not going to get the alarm. So that's really what that's about. Now, at the end of the day, if all of that bugs you, there is a switch down here. You can simply turn it off.
In addition to lane departure warning, our tester's technology package also included adaptive cruise control with Q Assist. This means when it's set on cruise and stop and go traffic, it will actually do all the braking and acceleration for you. Trust it, it really does work. There's also collision and pedestrian warnings with full auto brake, as well as distance alerts. As with the radar cruise, the XC60 can actually bring itself to a complete stop if an obstruction is detected and you aren't doing anything about it.
Finishing up with the XC60, I have to tell you that I'm really a little bit torn here, and it's because I really like this SUV a lot. I like it a lot. The design is nice, the interior is just phenomenal. The fit and finish in here, the comfort of these seats, the whole package is just exceptionally done. It's everything you'd expect from a luxury brand, and the Scandinavian component is something unique to Volvo. Now that Saab's gone, it's pretty much unique across the board in the automotive landscape. This new Drive E engine with its power curve, supercharging and turbocharging, it's a gem of a motor. It just delivers power from low RPMs all the way up, and for a 4-cylinder it remains pretty refined. The big problem that I have here today is the torque steer. 300 horsepower to just these two front wheels is honestly too much, and really the way it pulls that steering wheel right out of your hands is almost bordering on a little bit dangerous, and for Volvo that's not really a good place to be. But all's not lost here. If you're looking at an XC60, what I'd recommend is this. If you want front wheel drive, go with the T5. It has a 240 horsepower engine, a little bit less horsepower, not going to be too much for those front wheels, probably isn't going to be throwing that torque steer up at you the way this one does. If you want the power this has, go with the T6 all-wheel drive. It still has the venerable 6-cylinder inline-6 turbocharged engine, but it's delivering power to all 4 of those wheels. It's a fun motor also. I've driven them. It doesn't have the torque steer the way this one does. The only drawback with it is it doesn't quite have the fuel economy we get here. And this one, I got 24.5 miles to the gallon with this vehicle this week, and that's on a combined cycle. So, you know, if it weren't for the torque steer, this is a 5-star vehicle on my rating scale, but for this week, this one, as equipped, gets 3 out of 5 stars. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride.